Hi guys, so you know what we're here to do, talk about the Degrassi relationship videos. Again, I'll do what I did with the last one, I'll put them down on the thing and then show you at the end. So here we have the tiers: God, great, decent, deserved better writing, unlikable, toxic, and physically ABUSIVE. So let's get to it. Oh my gosh, I gotta take out the groups, so give me a few seconds to do that and get them into the groups they are in. But anyway, so God. Let's start with that because I know you guys are all excited to hear what I have picked for God. First one, Snake and Spike. So Snake and Spike are in God tier because they completely understood each other and got each other. Not only were they around for high school and like middle school, so like Snake saw what Spike went through with having Emma, but also just the fact that he was always such a good friend to her, and a lot of times good friendship leads to relationships. But even if he never had romantic feelings for her at that time, he still really cared for her as a person. And honestly, I think they should have been together instead of Snake and Michelle, but that's just my guessing. And Miss H never existed. I'm just going to say that. Alex and Tessa. I put Alex and Tessa here because this was Tessa's only good relationship. Like, this was the one that was good for her. He was so sweet to her. He definitely liked her. And there was no reason why they should have broken up because he was literally there for her. He was so sweet to her. He just wanted to make sure he was doing everything right. He wanted to make sure he was a good boyfriend to her. Literally, I loved them so much, and I don't know why they ended because they were really good for each other. Imogen. Fiona and Imogen, if you didn't know. Imogen. I loved Imogen. I felt like they were perfect for each other. Imogen was a good way to balance Fiona, and Fiona was good to balance Imogen. And not only was Imogen and Fiona were there for everything in their lives. Fiona was there for Imogen through her dad getting early onset dementia, which I know exactly what that's like with my mom. You know, Imogen was there for Fiona with her mom under house arrest, with, you know, her apartment getting broken into, so many things. Oh, by the way, before I forget, sorry, trigger warning when we get into toxic and physically ABUSIVE. I just want to warn you for those two, there will probably be a lot of trigger warnings. There shouldn't be any earlier, but if there are, I will make sure to say it right before it happens. Anyway, back into it. But yeah, Imogen, they were there for everything with each other. Zoe and Rasha. Zasha, as you all are fond of calling it in the comments. I say all of you and it's like one person. Zasha. I love Zasha. Honestly, they're so cute. They're so perfect for each other. Rasha was so patient with Zoe. Zoe was so patient with Rasha. That's why it worked. They really understood each other and they were patient with each other. And Zoe letting her talk to an ex-girlfriend slash friend to make sure she was okay. And, you know, Rasha just being so supportive of Zoe through all the stuff with her mom. It was an amazing relationship. Glenn and Helen Martin. Now, Helen is Helen Edwards, obviously Claire's mom, and Glenn is Jake's dad. The only reason why I added them here is because the source that I got the couples from had them listed as a relationship, so they got married. There's not much to say. Helen Edwards looks a lot more happy with Glenn. That's basically it. There you go. Tiny and Shay. Now, Tiny and Shay. Let's not even talk about the fact that he liked her first before liking Lola. But they just worked so much better. They had more in common. They both liked science. They were both more well suited for each other than Tiny and Lola. And I feel like where Tiny and Lola's personalities may have been more alike, Tiny and Shay were more focused on goals and their future. Tiny was focused on the science camp, and Shay was focused on a track scholarship. Becky and Adam. So obviously these two got off to a rocky start in season 14, season 12, I'm sorry. But they were able to work through it, and they were able to be one of the cutest couples ever. I love Becky and Adam. I love how she walked out on her dad with Adam. I love how she worked through her prejudices, and I love how Adam was so supportive of her through that. And Adam was trying to help her through that, and it was such a sweet relationship. I'm sorry, I'm gonna tape them down a little more. Becky's kind of waving in the air. Okay. Kamaya. So I know I've talked about these two to death, but indulge me for a second. I only have a few things to say. Kamaya. They were each other's first relationships. First of all, how stinking cute is that? Second, they both wanted to be the perfect match for each other, like the perfect relationship for each other, and that's so freaking cute because it was both their first relationships. They didn't know what to do. Goldie and Winston. He also got her a charm bracelet. I'm so sorry. That still makes me soft. Goldie and Winston. And you're going to say, yes, they didn't necessarily get together, but we saw at the end of next class they were hanging out more. Goldie and Winston hold a special place in my heart because of how sweet he was to her. He really liked her, and he was really letting her know that he liked her, and it was so cute, and I really wish we had gotten confirmation that they were endgame or something, because I feel like they both deserve each other. Drianka. Drew and Bianca, in case you didn't know. They were the only people who could handle each other. Like, tell me if I'm wrong. Drew and Bianca were the only people that could handle each other's energies. That's all I'm going to say on that. But they were with each other through everything. They're the only one who could balance each other out, and I'm mad that it didn't work out. Spinner and Jane. Like Drew and Bianca, Spinner and Jane. They were each other's literal, energies. They matched each other's energies. They understood each other perfectly. There was no way that Spinner and Jane weren't going to end up together. JT and Liberty. I know they didn't end up together, but just, JT and Liberty. First of all, pregnancy storyline, hello. JT and Liberty, he was so supportive of her through that pregnancy. He was there. And even when she didn't want him there, he was asking Toby behind her back to be there. Like, get yourself a man who, even if you don't want him to talk to you, is still checking up on your health and the baby's health. Like, man really went all out to go to Toby and be like, tell me. Saad and Lola. He also quit his dream job to try to help Liberty. Saad and Lola. I wish we could have seen more of this because it was becoming like a good relationship. It looked like it was going to be a very good relationship. He definitely liked her. She definitely didn't judge him. And there was just that complete trust there between them, which is good to have in a relationship. Bronco and Lucy. You probably all saw this coming if you watched my channel. Bronco and Lucy. Queen Lucy got a good relationship, and it was Bronco. My God, they should have stayed together. Bronco admired her. He loved the way she always spoke her mind. He loved her. It was so completely sweet. I love it. I love them so much. They're so cute. BLT and Michelle. One of the best relationships, BLT and Michelle, and yes, they still stay together. They beat so many things as a couple. Some things I can't say because YouTube likes to block some words, but they beat RACISM in a relationship. They went through so much together. And I just, whew. And she also just went to her dad and she's like, and it's like, don't hang out with them. Only if they're white. And she just, Johnner, which is Jenna and Connor, if you don't know. Because that was her first good relationship and she deserved it. And Connor deserved someone to help him out of his little, shell, So there's God. Also, if you see this is the character tier. I just use the other side for relationships to be consistent. So if you see that, that's why. Great. So great relationships, they're great. Sorry, Tony the Tiger. This is considerably more. Let's put them on there. JT and Manny. Now, I actually thought JT and Manny were pretty well matched for each other. I know why a lot of people don't think that, but I think JT and Manny were actually good because I feel like at that time, nobody really cared about Manny, and for JT to really care about her and want the best for her at that time, I feel like that was definitely very sweet of him to be there for her. And not only that, but he started to like her. And for her to have that support from someone like JT, I think it really helped. Miles and Tristan. I don't like how they ended them in next class, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the relationship as a whole. Miles and Tristan. Now let me explain why they're in great to me, because I think a lot of people will put them in unlikable. Here's why they're in great for me. Because Miles and Tristan, by the time we got to next class is what I'm talking about, not before. Next class is the Miles and Tristan I'm talking about. At that point, they figured out their relationship. Miles figured himself out. Tristan was, literally learning how to do things again. But Miles did stay by Tristan's side. Now, there was one point where that whole Lola thing happened, and we don't talk about Bruno. But I do think overall, Miles was a great support to Tristan through all that. Winston and Zoe. Now I know Zoe belongs with Rasha, as we put Zoe and Rasha in God tier, and I know that this seems a little, why this one? Well, how sweet Winston was to Zoe. He was so sweet to her, to encourage her to come out and be her full authentic self. And not only that, before it came out that she was gay, Winston was super, super sweet to her. He really liked her. He really wanted her to feel loved and accepted by him at least. Drew and Katie. Now, y'all didn't expect Drew to be in a great category, but I'll tell you why. This is the only reason Drew is here. And the only reason Drew is here is because of Katie. Katie helped Drew get over his paranoid stuff by helping him join Taekwondo. Katie helps him get out of MMA when it got too dangerous. Katie basically helped Drew through everything, and Drew did shit for her. They're in great because of everything Katie did for Drew. Nothing Drew did. Mo and Marisol. The reason they're not in God is because of how everything started. But by season 12, they were pretty much God material. Mo and Marisol were so great. And I think it was good that they made Marisol like Mo before Mo liked Marisol, because it was super sweet. because, you know, she liked him and that was so unlike her, and it was just sweet to see that side of her. So you're going to see Anya was spelled with a J, and my sister tried to fix it to a Y. We were talking about Nancy Drew, and this character named Anya and Nancy Drew that spells it with a J instead of a Y, so my sister kept messing up, but don't hold it against her. Anya and Owen. I liked Anya and Owen because he was really supportive of her. He was one of the people that actually was a good relationship for her. Frankly, I think Anya and Owen were fantastic because he literally cared about her, was there for her, actually stood up for her in situations, and Sav never did that. No, he didn't. Danny and Shantae. Danny and Shantae. They actually worked well for each other. Shantae really liked Danny. Obviously, Danny found out he liked Shantae, and they ended up dating. There was that whole thing with the anti-grapevine type of thing, but I think they worked out really well together because they definitely really cared for each other. Okay, guys, you're gonna have to give me a second. I realize that I have to go do something really quick, so I will be right back, I promise. Sorry guys, I had to take care of that thing, so let me get back to filming. We talked about Danny and Shantae, so let's get back. We're still in the great tier, by the way. Declan and Holly J. The reason why this couple isn't God tier is because when he said, how much money do I have to spend for you to do what I ask? Ew, right? Anyway, but other than that little misstep, they really worked better than Sav and Holly J, because Declan, I feel like, really helped her to get rid of her snotty attitude, her Heather Sinclair attitude. And I feel like, you know, Declan didn't try to change her. He supported her the way that she was. And I feel like after Blue, she needed somebody that just liked her the way that she was. Frankston, which if you don't know, this is Frankie and Winston. Frankston. I think that this was Frankie's best relationship because Winston really cared about her. He really tried to help her. He really loved her. And she just kind of took him for granted a lot of the time, honestly. There was a lot of taking for granted, but he was there for her through her dad's stuff. He was friends with Miles, so he already knew half the stuff going on. And he was still there for Frankie through it. And then Frankie was there for him with the musical and everything else. And they just took each other for granted every time. Still gonna be mad about that. Jonah and Becky. Now, the reason that Jonah and Becky are in here is because nothing can beat Adam and Becky, but I think that Jonah and Becky were Becky's second best relationship because he was Christian, they were in that band together, they seemed to have nonstop good times, and of course Drew was a piece of shit. So Becky found somebody good after Drew, and of course they had that storyline where they had to cut it off because he wasn't graduating. But you know, I feel like they could have stayed together. Casey and Claire. So this is before Jenna got there. They were great before Jenna got there, and then they turned to toxic. But before Jenna was there, Casey and Claire definitely liked each other. Everyone kept telling them to get together. They always denied it. And then when they eventually got together, everybody was like, see? Peter and Mia. One of Peter's best relationships. Peter and Mia were even better than Darcy and Peter, I would argue, because they were really there for each other. When that story came out about her in the special, he was there to comfort her. She was there to help him with his little sister that his dad kept dropping off at his place. Like, they just really understood each other and they really helped each other. Jay and Manny. This came out of left field, but Jay was there to do her debut with her, and he was super sweet to her family to make a good impression and everything else. And, you know, he was just super sweet to her, and he even offered that she could be in the bus to go to LA when she asked him. And he helped her get away from Mick. And then they still stayed in their relationship. Like, they still stayed in their relationship when she would come back and visit. So, Jay and Manny, good. Also, if you don't know who Mick is, he's the off-brand Johnny Depp. We'll be talking about him a little later. Paige and Griffin. Though we don't get to know much about their relationship, he was really sweet to her, and they did have that important talk they had to have. And not only that, but when they come back for an episode, Paige and Griffin come together and they look super happy together. So, you know, when they have the blackout. JT and Mia. Now, you might be asking why I'm putting JT and Mia here. It's because how much he not only cared for Mia, but how much he cared for Isabella too. He was always so sweet to both of them, and he really helped Mia with Isabella, especially when Isabella was sick that one day, and he's like, you know what's great about being sick? Popsicles! And things like that. So he was always really sweet to both of them. Peter and Darcy. The two of Peter's best relationships are in the same category. Now, Peter and Darcy, he definitely helped Darcy see her wild side a little bit and open up a little bit more. But Darcy also helped Peter stay grounded and helped him through a lot of the things he was going through and just, you know, helped him fix his ways. But they definitely balanced each other out. Paige and Alex. Palix, as many people call it. Paige and Alex were amazing because they really understood each other. Alex was always trying to get Paige to, like, you know, calm down, think things through, kept letting Paige know that she's got it, she can handle it, and Paige was just not having it. Joey and Caitlin. Now, the reason that they're not in God like I want them to be is because of what Joey did with Tessa. But Joey and Caitlin were amazing. He really supported her throughout her whole schooling experience, all her goals, everything. This man was here for everything. He even wanted to propose to her when she graduated high school. Like, this man was ready to get married to her. Like, I'm sorry, Tessa who? Like, this man was ready to set aside his life for her. And she would have done the same for him. And I just, Tessa who? Jimmy and Hazel. Jimmy and Hazel were amazing. This was the only one of Jimmy's relationships that I think they actually cared about him. Jimmy and Hazel were amazing because Hazel was supporting Jimmy. Jimmy was supporting Hazel. And even though Hazel didn't exactly know that, Jimmy didn't want to be a basketball star, he wasn't talking to her at that point. So how was she supposed to help him? Decent. We want this is the decent tier. So there's a couple, but not too much. Jimmy and Ashley. Now, before you come at me, they're indecent because they did communicate with each other. And especially when they were young, it was a little baby relationship, but they did communicate with each other. And the only reason that it is not higher is because she did take him off of the track. But I think other than that, they had pretty much a pretty good relationship when she came back from England. They were a little more balanced, but it still wasn't that great. Miles and Zoe. Miles and Zoe, I'm talking about season 14, so way after Paris, way after he dates Maya, like season 14, Miles and Zoe. He definitely liked her, especially during the summer break specials, what I'm talking about. He definitely liked her, and she definitely liked him. And I feel like they would have had a good relationship. If Zoe wasn't gay, it probably would have worked out. Sav and Holly J. Sav and Holly J. So, Sav and Holly J are okay. I mean, they're not awful. I will admit, a lot of people ask me about this. They're not awful. But they started out on this is just for fun. And then they got serious, and then Sav wanted to get more serious, and Holly J was like, I can't. See, any relationship on the basis that it starts out for fun is not necessarily going to be a long-term thing. Fiona and Charlie. There was no qualms that Sav actually cared about Holly J, but still. Fiona and Charlie. I don't think this is awful because Charlie definitely was there for Fiona and Fiona was there for Charlie, but, you know, they had a relationship for like one episode and then it didn't work. So there were a lot of moving parts, but I feel like they were definitely sweet to each other, and that's very important. Jonah and Grace. They were decent because they were, well, like better paired than Jonah and Frankie. But something about Jonah and Grace, something's just off about it. I think it's because he hid her for a long amount of time and then was just like, oh, I'm not going to hide you anymore. I'm like, don't act like you did her a favor. Yeah, it's just Jonah and Grace, they're indecent because he treated her well, but there's also just something off about it that I can't put my finger on. Marco and Eric. Marco and Eric. So, Marco and Eric weren't awful. I just feel like they weren't as well suited, and Ellie kept pushing it so hard, and I feel like she should have listened to Marco, that he wasn't ready to move on with someone. But I see what Ellie was trying to do. But yeah, I just feel like it wasn't very good. But, you know, Marco was definitely still sweet to Eric, and Eric was still sweet to Marco. Spinner and Darcy. I feel like they were good because also I feel like Spinner was teaching Darcy how to have fun, and Darcy was getting Spinner more grounded, getting him into friendship club, getting him into a relationship, and things like that. Alex and Carla. Now, if you don't know who Carla is, she was a university girl that Alex started dating, and it was very brief, but they were okay. I think they were actually a really good match for each other. I think it was good for Alex to have someone other than Paige that she dated that was good for her. And I feel like this was a healthy relationship, but of course Alex was still hung up on Paige, so. Jay and Mel. Now, if you don't know who Mel is, she's the one that worked at the strip bar with Alex. So Jay and Mel. They were actually a really good fit for each other before Manny. I feel like Mel was definitely a lot like Jay was at that time, and so they definitely fit together well. Peter and Emma. So I didn't necessarily like Peter and Emma, but I do have to give him props, and the reason why they're here is because he helped her through her ED. And I feel like that deserves props, that he helped her through her ED, because it was very good for him to have been there and not just run away. So I will commend him for that. Spike and Patrick. You know that song, Oh, Christine? The song that gives me secondhand embarrassment. Spike and Patrick were sweet. He definitely knew that she was a mom and that the baby was her first priority and everything, but he just wanted to get to know her. And their relationship seemed very sweet. He never pushed her to do anything she wasn't comfortable with, and it just seemed like he liked her a lot. Deserved better writing. There are going to be probably quite a few, so let's jump into it. Toby and Kendra. They deserved better writing because you could see that Kendra really cared about Toby and was really worried about him, especially in the wrestling episode. And then they black holed Kendra and you're just like, what happened to Toby and Kendra? Like, they were so good for each other, and I definitely feel like they would have been endgame if Kendra wasn't black holed. JD. Jake and Katie, for those of you that don't know. Yeah, the reason why some have couple names and some don't is because some couple names were confirmed by Degrassi and others weren't. If I missed some, you can let me know down in the comments. JD deserved better writing, even though they ended up together because of what happened in Las Vegas. That should have never happened. They deserved better writing because of the Las Vegas storyline. Sema. This is Sean and Emma. I think you all know what I'm about to say. They should have ended up together, not Spinner and Emma. Sean and Emma should have ended up together. They deserved better writing because they should have ended up together. They went through so much. Spinner bullied her when she first got there. There was no relationship building there, and then it just happened out of nowhere. Like, I know that can happen in real life, but still. Sean and Emma. They just had more, and yeah, it was toxic at times, but when they were good, they were really good. When they were bad, they were horrid. That's all I'll say. Wesley and Hannah. They were very sweet. They both really liked each other, and I really liked their relationship. And then they both got black holed. They were so sweet. I loved seeing Wesley and Hannah. She really liked him, and all he wanted was a girl that just liked him and understood him. Claire. More like Claire, you know what I'm saying? Claire deserved better writing. Why is Claire and deserved better writing, you might ask? Because of the shit they put them through, honey. End of season 10, Eli, which triggers me. Season 11, Eli, which triggers me. Season 12, they were finally good. They found their place. Season 13, they messed it up again. And season 14, they messed it up. Season 13 with Lenore. Season 14, which I'm glad they were confirmed to be endgame. But it's just like, stop messing with them, for the love of God. Another couple that deserved better, Zori, Zig and Tori. I feel like Tori was one of Zig's only real, like, actual good couples on the show. They deserved better because Zig and Tori were they definitely cared about each other. Zig cared about Tori way more than he cared about Maya. And frankly, I just think it was really healthy and good, and they balanced each other out. Chris and Emma in Deserved Better Writing. If you don't remember who Chris is, he was someone who was like an aspiring DJ that dated Emma after Sean. I feel like they deserved better because we barely got to see anything about Chris's personality, and I felt so bad for him because, you know, he dated Emma and then he just disappeared. Dave and Sadie. This is kind of the same thing. Sadie dated Dave. They were super, super cute. They liked a lot of the same things. Then Dave started to like Allie, of course. But they liked a lot of the same things. And then like Sadie disappeared after they dated. But I really feel like Dave and Sadie were very well matched for each other. Holly J and Blue. This started out as a good relationship, and then he tried to change who she was. Just started calling her Holly and trying to make her a walking suggestion box, as she says to Anya. Craig and Yvette. Again, if you don't remember who Yvette is, Degrassi Goes Hollywood, that was Craig's model girlfriend. I feel bad for her because she was just there once and then she disappeared because he saw Ellie again. You know. Dave and Allie. Dave and Allie. I put them in here because Jacinta should have never existed. Allie should have never got that gambling addiction. Like, they were just so good for each other, and they should have never had the gambling addiction. They should have never had Jacinta. They should have never had any of that. Shane and Spike. So, the reason why they deserve better writing is not only did this boy want to be here to help out when the baby was born, and he stood up to his parents about that, but also he was paying her child support money for Emma. He wasn't the best, but at least he was trying to help her in that way. And also, this boy shouldn't have had the injury he had. I feel like maybe if they got better writing, he would have actually helped her out more. Maybe Spike would have come around to the idea. Liberty and Towers. Now, if you don't know who Towers is, he was in Jay's group. And it's one obscure episode where Towers says he likes girls that have a big vocabulary, and Sean was like, he liked the way you said this one word and everything, and it was super cute. I feel like they deserved better writing because I feel like they were really good for each other, and also we never got to see it. I would have liked to see it. Sean and Ellie. I feel like they deserved better writing because I feel like the writers did them dirty, and I will say this because I feel like their relationship was very rushed, and it was kind of the same thing over and over. They didn't give them any variety, and I feel like they were such big personalities, they deserved more variety than they got. Marco and Dylan. The reason Marco and Dylan are in here is because I'm a personal Marco and Dylan fan, and I feel like that Dylan shouldn't have cheated on Marco. I feel like that was very, very awful. And didn't he cheat on Marco with Eric or something? Like, he said his name was Eric. Is that the same Eric? I don't know, but that's a little odd if it was. Spinner and Paige. Spinner and Paige deserved better writing because they went through so much, and Paige just drug him through the mud. Especially when there's that whole Jesse and Spinner thing. She just drug him through the mud, and he was so good to her. Sorry guys, I found this couple on the floor that I dropped by accident. Hunter and Yael. They were in Deserved Better Writing because Hunter shouldn't have treated Yael like that when, you know, Yael went to they, them and everything. And, you know, I don't like that they did that to Hunter's character. I'm sorry, I saw them on the floor. But yeah, this is actually the last one. Okay. Bye. Can't wait to see you for Nancy Drew next week. Now we're on unlikable. Okay, this is a lot. Marco and Ellie, I put in unlikable, and I'll explain why. I love Marco and Ellie as friends. As a relationship, Marco and Ellie were unlikable because you could tell that Marco was not feeling it after a certain point. And he should have just been honest to her, and he was later, but, you know, he should have been honest with her when he started to feel it. Even if he didn't know what it was, you know. Drew and Becky. This is unlikable because they dated right after Adam. Like, okay, Adam is unalived and then you're just gonna date his brother? Like, what are you thinking, Becky? What the hell? Drew, this is your deceased brother's girlfriend. What the hell? I don't understand. Jack and Imogen. I think I've explained this one too many times, but here's the last time you'll ever hear me say it. I feel like Jack was there for no reason other than to give Imogen storylines. There you go. Dave and Jacinta. Dave and Jacinta, because Jacinta who? Never existed. I don't know who this bitch is. I wouldn't know her even if I saw her on the street. Wheels and Stephanie. They should have just never been. Wheels and Stephanie just weren't working. I think the universe was telling them to give it a break, and then they didn't want to. And it's like, please, for the love of God, just stop trying to go out with each other. Casey and Marisol. First of all, Marisol was a homewrecker for this. Second of all, Casey was slimed for this. Like, you had a full-ass baby with Jenna, and you're just going out and sneaking out with Marisol. Like, first of all, why Marisol? Like, there are so many questions. Tiny and Lola. Back to Casey and Marisol for a split second. I don't know why she was just so, like, free to do that. Like, she was even on Spirit Squad with Jenna. Anyway, how could you stab somebody in the back like that? I don't get it. Tiny and Lola. So, where their personalities were matched, I feel like they just were not the best. I feel like they didn't really like each other that much, if that makes any sense. Adam and Missy. Who's Missy? Never heard of her. She's actually from the band episode, you know, where the Battle of the Bands, but let's just pretend we don't know her. Also, okay, Casey and Marisol edited statement, so if you see a cut, it's because this is the edited statement for Casey and Marisol. I didn't like how I articulated it earlier. Casey and Marisol. I don't understand how Marisol could stab Jenna in the back when she knew Casey and her had a baby. There we go. And I don't understand how Casey could do that when he had a baby with someone who he claimed to love. There you go. Tristan and VJ. This was secondhand embarrassment the whole entire time that they were together, if you can even say that, you know? And Johnny and Kayla, if you don't know who Kayla is, she is the one that he was dating in college that helped Allie with her disguise. And it was awful because she came in and said, "Did your little project leave yet?" Declan and Trish. This was like a fling, but he broke up with her so he could start dating Holly J. Yeah, there's not much more to say on that. Melanie and Snake. they should have stopped after a while too, because it just was not working and they just would not give it up. And I'm like, okay, Snake Honey, it's not gonna work. Your dates are just not working. And did I feel bad at first? Yeah, but then after a while it got repetitive because it was the same thing over and over. Michelle and Snake. Their first date was god awful, but of course Michelle took, you know, responsibility for that. But at the same time, Michelle and BLT, nobody can beat them for me. But also, this was like one episode they were dating and then boom. Like, it just didn't seem like it was a very good relationship. Spinner and Emma. I don't know why they got married because, like I said, he bullied her when she first came to the school. They never really grew a relationship aside from that. So I don't know where this came from. Danny and Leah. So Danny and Leah, I didn't really have an opinion on them, but they became unlikable, meaning she became unbearable when she started lying to him about everything. I felt like, you know, if you're in a relationship with somebody that you trust, you shouldn't feel the need to lie. Kelly and Emma. Kelly and Emma, it was toxic. Kelly wasn't even really in it for the right reasons, and it just seemed like he was just doing it just to get in her pants most of the time. He was just trying to keep her, but like he didn't want to settle down, and you could tell when he kept trying to talk to Gwyneth after their breakup, and it just, ugh. Danny and Rachel, if you don't know who Rachel is, she was when Degrassi and Lakehurst cohabitated. That was kind of shitty because of what he did to his friend. He could tell that Derek really liked her, and not only that, but Rachel was definitely playing both of them, and it's just like, how can you not see that she's playing both of you? Manny and Damien, I don't even think I need to comment, do I? It lasted for like 5 seconds. I don't think there's even anything that I could say about it, so I won't. Paige and Jesse. This was when she was running around with Spinner and Jesse, and she was trying to decide who she liked better. This was a mess because he had just broken up with Ellie, and she's like, oh yeah, let me give you a chance. Like, that's your roommate's ex. Ashley and Alistair. So, Ashley and Alistair are a mess because, you know, she was still kind of with Craig and she got with Alistair. That was never really explained, but she was supposed to come back to surprise Craig and didn't, and oh Lord. Spinner and Manny. I don't know why this happened, but then Manny started to like Chester, like right after, and Chester started to like Manny, you know, which didn't make sense because, you know, she was already with a boyfriend, so it didn't, that was kind of scummy for her to do, but, you know. Joey and Diane. This is who Joey's supposedly supposed to end up with, after, you know, it doesn't work with Caitlyn again. And I just, like, the age difference just makes me uncomfortable. Marco and Tim. Marco and Tim, I feel bad for Tim because he really felt he found somebody in Marco, but Marco was just thinking about Dylan the whole time, so it just wasn't going to work. Dallas and Vanessa. Obviously, this goes without saying. She was before he even got to Degrassi, so, you know, it just, from his past. I'm going to speak the rest of these because there's no place to put them on the board. Joey and Sydney. She just never really took him, you know, seriously, and she always seemed to be condescendingly talking to him. Nick and Tabby, they were in Dwayne's group, and we never really saw anything of them, but I just didn't like either of them. Manny and Sully, he always seemed to never really care about her, just wanted her for her provocative dressing. Sean and Amy, obviously, Amy was just there as a filler character, and Yick and Tessa, because Tessa liked Yick for like a hot second. So that's unlikable. Toxic. This is a lot. So bear with me here. Manny and Craig. Give me somebody who says Manny and Craig is not toxic and then be able to explain it to me. I don't think you can find the person that can explain it to. Manny and Craig were hella toxic. I don't know why they kept getting together. I don't know why they thought if it was going to work or what, but it was just not meant to be. Drew and Zoe. Drew and Zoe. He literally had S with her and then was like, oh, it was no big thing. And Audra yelling at him about it was amazing. But like, why would you do that, Drew? Like, why? Caitlin and Keith. Now, if you don't know who Keith is, this is the first season of The Next Generation, first episode. It's the director she's engaged to. And yeah, he's a piece of shit. He really doesn't, he treats her like she's not important and then tries to go off with like adult Allison or something. Like, Zig and Esme. Zig and Esme, it's toxic. Esme's making it toxic because she's afraid she's going to lose Zig to Maya, which I get it, but you gotta have that trust. And she's just like, nope, you're going to leave me for Maya. And so she gets that idea in her head and she starts to unravel a little bit, which obviously that's jealousy. That's what happens in relationships sometimes. And Zig should have really reassured her, but Zig just kept letting it get to a point. Riley and Fiona. Obviously, this was not good. Riley was dating her just to say, yeah, I'm not gay, when obviously he was, and so he was exploding at everybody and calling her a bitch. I think that was a bit too far, but she even offered to date him until he figured everything out, and it was still... Also, I want to reiterate Zig and Esme. This is the new statement, so if you see a cut, I can articulate it better. Esme was really worried Zig was going to leave her, and Zig didn't reassure her, which he should have done, but also, you know, Zig should have just been there for Esme, and he just kept calling her crazy, which is awful for him to do. Eli and Imogen. Again, I feel like Imogen should have not walked on eggshells around Eli and should have just treated him normal, because he was doing his regimen, you know, all of his treatment and everything, and I had to walk on eggshells in a relationship, but not the way Imogen did. I had to, because if I said the wrong thing, that person would explode at me in my own relationship. Jake and Claire. I hated every single second of it. I just felt like they weren't suited for each other, and I felt like it was a rebound thing. Like, it started as a rebound thing, and it just never felt like they actually liked each other to me. Maybe that's just me, but... Esme, Frankie, and Zig. The throuple. This was not a thing that should have happened. I'm sorry, but it was just so not good for anybody involved. Clutch and Lucy. Lucy told Clutch she didn't like how drunk he kept getting. He didn't listen to her. He got drunk. That wasn't going to work. BLT and Cindy. She was the other woman. Of course he wasn't going to like her as much as Michelle. He didn't even really treat her with that much respect. Adam and Fiona. I feel bad for saying this because of my boy Adam and my girl Fiona, but their relationship was not written in the stars, so to speak. Anya and Dr. Chris. Can I say pedophile? Sorry, but pedo, but I think that's exactly what Anya and Dr. Chris are. I don't want to talk about it anymore because he literally conned her so much. I just hate this. Zane and Riley. I hate that they are here, but sadly, there was never a really good moment between them. It was either Zane wanted more or Riley wanted more, and it never really worked. Drew and Allie. Two words actually. Boiler room. That's why. Boiler room. That's why. And I just, ugh. Drew. Caitlin and Claude. One word. Condescending. He was always so condescending to her and always so manipulative to her, and it was so disgusting to watch. It was the power dynamic. He was older. Johnny and Allie. Again, power dynamic. He was older. He should have known not to have S with her in the van, even though she said yes because she was so young. Like, she didn't really know what she, and I just feel like Johnny didn't treat her well. Manny and Mick. Okay, let me talk about Johnny and Allie. Another revised statement. Because I don't know what to say in the moment, and then I think of it after the fact. Johnny and Allie. Johnny should have definitely been a lot sweeter to her because she was younger and should have definitely helped her navigate a relationship better, but he didn't. Manny and Mick. Creepy. That's all I'm going to say. He's just creepy. He's the off-brand Johnny Depp. Declan and Jane. What? Never happened. Sorry. I don't know them. Declan and Jane? Who? Nope. Never heard of them. Nope. They never talked in my world. They never had a class together. Nope. Maybe they were pretty good friends, but nope, I never heard of them hanging out with each other. Jimmy and Trina. A lot of people seem to like this. I can't stand Trina, so I can't stand Jimmy and Trina. The one reason I put them here is because when Jimmy talks about maybe not getting the stem cell surgery, she's like, well, it won't be as fun walking through Central Park if I have to push you in your wheelchair. That's something she actually said, and for that, I found her disgusting. Sav and Anya. Break up, get back together, then break up again. Need I go on? Farah not telling his mom. Ellie and Jesse. The power dynamic. Always calling her Frosh, which makes me so uncomfortable. Sorry, babies, but I have to say this. Simon and Alexa. Alexa barely let him get words out, barely let him talk. Half the time she ran the conversations. Lucas and Mia. Simon and Alexa, it's like you couldn't have an opinion. Lucas and Mia, I wanted them to work for Isabella's sake, but they didn't. And they were toxic because as soon as the police officer came in and was like, hey, is this your kid? And he's like, not mine. Bitch. Emma and Damien. I don't even think I need to explain this. He cheated on her with her best friend. Automatic. Paige and Mr. Oleander. Again, I'm going to side with Manny and call him a pedo. Jonah and Frankie. No trust. She logged into his messages instead of talking to him about it. Zaya. Zig and Maya. He was very obsessive and possessive over her to the point where it made me uncomfortable. And I was in a relationship where somebody was like that over me. So Jay and Alex. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. I know it was before, but nope, nope, nope. And now I got a few that won't fit. Matt Lingsworth, obviously that's Maya and Miles. Obviously wasn't gonna work. They just weren't suited for each other, and it was purely on like lust. Paul and Lucy, obviously not. All he wanted out of her was sex. Ashley and Craig, let's not even talk about the amount of things that they went through. And even though Ashley did help him through his bipolar, which I like, they weren't suited for each other. Also, he cheated on her with Manny. So Joey and Tessa, I don't think I even need to explain that. And Tristan and Mr. Yates, I don't think I need to explain that either. Honestly, I didn't want to add that on this list, but it was there on the source. So, you know. And then physically, ABUSIVE. There's very little, so I'm just going to read them. Terry and Rick. Obviously, what happened through their whole relationship was awful. And I don't know how anybody could do that to Terry. She was so, so sweet. Allie and Leo. Again, I don't understand how somebody could do that. He didn't even know about Dallas. It could have just been a friend. Like, it didn't have to be romantic. Like, counting the days till you get back. Maybe Dallas liked her and she didn't like him. Leo had no right. He did not know about the people in her life. Fiona and Bobby. Bobby is such a pretentious asshole. Fiona did not deserve that, and I don't know why. I just don't understand why these people think that it's okay to do that. It's never okay in any circumstance. These people make me so mad. Scott and Kathleen. Kathleen did not deserve that. I don't care what anybody says. I don't like Kathleen, but she did not deserve that. Okay, guys, I think I'm getting a little heated here. I think I need to calm down. But yeah, Terry did not deserve that. Allie did not deserve that. Fiona did not deserve that. And Kathleen did not deserve that. They deserve to be happy in their lives. And I hope they all found somebody that makes them very happy. I know Allie found Dallas, but we don't know about the others. So I hope they all found somebody that makes them happy and loves them, because they deserve to be loved and admired. Oh, by the way, this is just as an extra thing. Miles and Lola are in between toxic and unlikable. They never dated, but that whole thing where she had to get the abortion and she couldn't even tell him because he just threw her off because he assumed she just wanted to talk about their arrangement. And Casey and Jenna. They were decent when the relationship was good, and they were toxic when it was bad. So I couldn't put them more in one spot or the other. So this ends the Degrassi videos, guys. It's been a long ride, and I'm gonna miss it. But we're gonna start Nancy Drew. And I'm really excited for that. I've already started replaying the games to write what I like and dislike. So I hope you guys will stick around for that. Even if you've heard of Nancy Drew, even if you've never heard of Nancy Drew, I hope you stick around. Those are going to be really fun videos. Let me know your tier in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Again, I accept all opinions. Just make sure you're respectful to each other. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!